Level 1. The selection. You sit in a hard plastic chair in a federal building in downtown Houston. The air conditioning is humming, but you are sweating through your suit. You are 25 years old. On the wall is the gold 8-pointed star of the United States Marshal Service. Across the desk, a seasoned deputy inspector looks at your file. He doesn't look impressed. He asks you why you want to join the oldest federal law enforcement agency in America. You start to give the rehearsed speech about fugitive recovery and judicial security. He cuts you off mid-sentence. He asks if you're ready to look a fugitive in the eyes at 4 a.m. in a broken-down trailer park, knowing he has nothing left to lose. You swallow hard and say yes. You sign the background waiver. They track down your childhood neighbors, your credit card debt, and the girl you broke up with 3 years ago. Weeks later, the letter arrives. You're ordered to report to the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia. Your civilian life is officially over. Level 2. The trainee. You arrive at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Glencoe, Georgia, midway between Savannah and Jacksonville. For the next 19 weeks, this swampy compound is your entire reality. You wake up at 5 a.m. to the sound of humidity and drill instructors who haven't smiled since the Cold War. You don't just run, you run up to 10 miles through the blistering Georgia heat, stopping every mile for mountain climbers and push-ups until your shirt is soaked in salt and sweat. Your hands callous over from handling a Glock 19. You fire thousands of rounds under extreme artificial stress, shooting while moving, shooting in pitch-black corridors, clearing jams while an instructor screams directly into your ear. By week 12, the physical exhaustion is a dull background noise, replaced by mental dread. You memorize the minutiae of federal court procedures, witness protection protocols, and the violent mechanics of building entries. You undergo defensive tactics training where you're thrown onto hard meds, learning how to choke out a man who outweighs you by 80 pounds. You take 5 brutal academic exams, get below a 70% on just one, and you're sent packing on a bus back to your hometown. On graduation day in the humid Georgia air, you receive your Gold Star badge and sign a mobility agreement. You swear to defend the Constitution, knowing you are bound to whatever corner of the United States the agency dumps you in. Level 3. The Rookie Deputy, GL-07. Your first official assignment is a major metropolitan field office like the Southern District of New York or the Central District of California. You are the low man on the totem pole. The veterans call you the new guy, or worse. And for the first 3 years, your mobility agreement means you cannot transfer no matter how much you hate the city. You quickly realize that being a U.S. Marshal isn't just kicking down doors, it's a masterclass in logistics and bureaucracy. Your days start in a windowless processing cell block beneath a federal courthouse, stripping down high-profile cartel lookouts, desperate drug couriers, and white-collar scammers. You learn the cold, metallic sound of chain-link waist restraints and ankle cuffs locking into place. You spend endless numbing hours inside armored transport vans or flying on G-Pets, the Justice Prisoner Air Transportation System, affectionately known as Con Air. You're trapped in a sealed metal tube with 120 federal inmates, constantly checking your sidearm, scanning the rows for the slightest shift in body language. When you aren't transporting prisoners, you're sitting in the back of a federal courtroom, standing guard for 8 hours straight during high-threat trials. Your feet ache, your lower back throbs from the weight of your duty belt, and you watch a federal judge hand down a 30-year sentence without blinking. Your partner looks at you and whispers, "Welcome to the machine." Level 4. The Field Deputy, GS-11. After a few years of paying your dues in the cell blocks and transport vans, you earn your stripes. You are promoted to GS-11 and transition into full-time field operations. Your main focus shifts to the bread and butter of the Marshal Service, fugitive recovery. You no longer wear a suit, you wear a heavy tactical vest, combat boots, and a drop-leg holster. You're assigned to a localized fugitive task force, working hand-in-hand with state and local police detectives. You spend your mornings in a surveillance vehicle, drinking stale, lukewarm coffee at 3:30 a.m., staring at a dilapidated apartment building in a neighborhood police don't go into alone. You analyze phone call records, interview tight-lipped ex-girlfriends, and track down social media footprints to build a geographic profile of a violent felon who has crossed state lines to evade a murder warrant. The moment of execution is pure adrenaline. You stand at the stack outside, a reinforced wooden door, your heart hammering against your ribs, your hands steady on your rifle. You hear the breach, the explosive crack of a battering ram slamming against the frame, and you stream into a dark, cramped living room, shouting commands into the chaos. You tackle a frantic suspect to the floor, the smell of cheap tobacco and old grease filling your nose as you click the handcuffs shut. You make $85,000 a year, but you spend half of it on gear upgrades, ibuprofen for your grinding knees, and alimony because your schedule completely destroyed your first marriage. Level 5, the Senior Inspector, GS-12 Regional Task Force. 10 years in, you are a master of the hunt. You hit the top of the non-supervisory field ladder at GS-12. You're attached to an elite regional major case fugitive squad. You don't chase local carjackers anymore. You track the worst of the worst, the individuals on the US Marshal's top 15 most wanted list, international cartel bosses, and escaped federal inmates. You have broad, sweeping federal authority that crosses every state line in the country. You coordinate with foreign field officers to track international flight paths. You manage a deep network of paid confidential informants, meeting them in the back of dimly lit diners, trading cash for burner phone numbers and addresses. Your job is a psychological chess match. You study the target's habits for months, learning exactly what time they buy their groceries, what kind of cigarettes they smoke, and how they react when backed into a corner. You lead multi-agency takedowns involving 30 heavily armed operators, armored vehicles, and air support. You watch local news anchors report on a high-profile arrest you spent 6 months orchestrating, but your face is blurred out on screen for operational security. You are invisible to the public, highly lethal to your targets, and completely numb to the danger. But code enforcement and street-level raids are only part of the Bureau's shadow. On a rainy Tuesday afternoon, you are called into a secure, windowless briefing room on the top floor of headquarters. A black folder is sitting on the steel table. Inside are new credentials, an untraceable passport, and a completely blank asset profile. A voice behind you says, "Congratulations, Inspector. Your old identity is gone. You've just been pulled into the shadows." You look down at the file, realizing you've just been selected for the most secretive, highly sensitive assignment in federal law enforcement, the Witness Protection Program. But what you don't know yet is that the first life you have to protect might cost you your own.